Namaste. Welcome to our 41st talk on the Bhagavad Gita. We're beginning at the 19th verse of the 7th chapter. Krishna has been talking about various kind of people, what kind of people seek after him. And of course, he says naturally that the wise are on the highest level. That means the jnani, the one who has real wisdom. Not a person who just say wants to get away from suffering, wants to be happy. No. One who wishes to get to the goal because that's their purpose in existing. And that's why they came into this world. And there is no genuine goal for a conscious entity to attain, but reunion with the Absolute. It's not even top on the list. For the jnani, there is no list. All right. At the end of many births, the wise man takes refuge in me. In other words, he understands, I don't have any other refuge. I don't have any protection. I don't have any stability outside of the self. Nothing that's real, nothing that is true. In a sense, it's to the wise man, where else would he go? There is nowhere else to go. Jesus asked the apostles one time when some people were disgusted at what he had to say, and they said, this is difficult. Who can hear this? And they went away. And Jesus said, will we also go away? And St. Peter said, where will we go? You have the words of eternal life. So the wise man knows there's only one direction to go in. He knows, not he thinks, believes, he knows. All is Vasudeva. Vasudeva means he who exists everywhere. He who is infinite, all embracing. And he knows that. The all pervader is all, that there truly is. Everything else is just a momentary dream. It exists and then it doesn't exist. Therefore, its existence is hardly real. So he understands this. How very rare is that great soul. Yeah. Oh, people sit. Vedantists are sitting in India now, saying, all is that, all is one, there's only the one reality, we must seek the Advaitic realization, and so on. Well, anybody can say that. You can teach a parrot to say that. But who's doing it? This is one of the things that's a key theme of the Gita. There was a song we used to sing in the little fundamentalist church I belonged to that said, O soul, be up and doing. We have no time to lose. There is life and death before you. Well, which one will you choose? Now, of course, they didn't know how to find their way through the maze of this world because of the limitation of their belief. But you see, poets often say very profound and wise things that they don't even consciously know. And there was an example. So, how rare is that great soul? But there are others. So he continues. Those whose knowledge has been stolen away by various desires. It's just as low as that, just as simple as that. It's just the ego wanting to take things into itself, stabilize itself, and entertain itself. So those whose knowledge has been stolen away by various desires resort to other gods. Well, you see, it's like patron saints in the Christian church. Uh, this Saint Anthony finds lost things for you. You see, uh, Saint Dimphna is for insanity or mental illness, curing of it. So this saint's for this saint's for that. It's like uh, a schedule of medical specialists. You see, and so you placate them, you please them, you make vows to them, you get what you want. A vending machine. You know, God isn't just a vending machine, and the really, truly liberated masters, they're not vending machines either. And forgive me, I'm trying to remember an incident where, oh, yes, of course, Yogi Raj Shamachar and Lahiri. He sat all the time, basically in meditation. And then there were people who would learn from him and would come and he would speak to them. He lived in a tiny little room. You cannot believe it. I would say I'm not good at estimating distances, but I think we're talking about 8 feet, uh, about 8 feet from what would be front to side. And then it is about, oh, I expect it's a good 20 feet long. And at the end, where they have the wooden platform on which he sat and which has a life size oil painting, or at least did, in all the years, things could change. So perhaps the oil painting is disintegrated. But anyway, it was there. And then right next, there was a window which went all the way from the floor to the ceiling. And because the room was so small, there were people that would gather outside and sit there and watch him through the window. Well, anyway, he spent all his time doing that. And people were always around. And day and night, often 24 hours, he was sitting there. Sometimes in samadhi, sometimes in interacting with people. So one time, for some reason, he went upstairs and his wife followed after him and griped at him that he was neglecting his family, that, et cetera, et cetera. And there were all these needs and he didn't do anything. And why didn't he provide, et cetera? And suddenly he disappeared. And then from all around her, this great voice spoke and said, "Don't you see? I'm just a nothing. How can a nothing give you the things you want?" Well, how can God, the no thing, give us what we want? It doesn't. Therefore, knowing what we are and knowing how long we'll remain in this duality, the gods have come forth. And the gods give us all these lesser things. Ganesha removes, for example, he removes obstacles. Sri Durga dispels evil, especially evil spirits, evil people too. And she also empowers. And this is how it is. You don't go to the king usually. You go to one of his ministers and say, "Can I have this and can I get that?" So that's how the cosmos is set up. So those whose knowledge has been stolen away by various desires resort to other gods, following various religious practices. In India, you will even hear them say, and this is quite true, it is superstitious, this deity likes this the best, this deity likes that the best. They like to have this food offering, they like these flowers the best. Um, and they respond. And why not? When you think about it, that too is your karma. You do these things in relation to them, and they do something back in relation to you. So, who's the God? You or them? Both, you see, really. So, they follow various religious practices, fastings, going on pilgrimages, making offerings in the temple to those deities, etc., etc. Impelled thus by their own nature. In other words, it is a nature to be outside oneself, their nature to want what's outside. So put it into religion so that eventually they'll get smart. And since they, all right, here are the gods, I bow to the gods, and they know there is the God of gods. So then perhaps they'll say, why don't I move up a little higher? See, real religion is education. The mind of the human is basically childlike when you think how utterly limited it is. And so you lead a child onward. I've seen in India people teaching a child how to go into the puja room and make offerings, but they did it like a game. And the child enjoyed it. After all, we like imitating the adults when we're children. So they've seen their adult mother and father do worship. So, oh, I'd like you to do that too. Okay, here's how you do it. And that's how they teach, never with coercion, never with bribery, by example. So then, impelled by their own prakriti, by their own energies in, they want these things. Is it bad? Is it foolish? Is it ignorant? Now, the fake jnanis will say, oh, rest, not go for the absolute. You know, they're really a mean bunch of people, these professional jnanis. I'm not talking about a true jnani. We're not talking about someone like Sri Ramana Maharshi. It was God sitting there talking to people. No, I'm not about the fakes. The fakes are always grumpy. They always seem to have stomach troubles for some reason. And so they have this idea like, I'm at the top, but therefore you fool, come up to my level. But this isn't the way it is with God. God wants us to come to his level, but he can wait. Yogananda said, God at whose glance the universes tremble is running after human beings. Say, don't you want me? Don't you prefer me above the things I give you? And the humans say, I don't have any time for you. And God says, I will wait. It's one of the first things I ever read of his teachings. It's sad, man's inhumanity to God. But anyway, whoever wishes to worship whatever form with faith, on him I bestow immovable faith. It isn't like, hey, wake up, don't be superstitious. No, God has given that faith. God has given that affinity. And a real jnani will leave people alone, knowing everybody, you had to walk on your own. People encouraged you to walk, maybe they held your hand, but you walked. I remember well when my mother decided that I should feed myself. And she put a spoon in my hand, and there was the food in front of me. And it was, if you're hungry, well, it's up to you now. There it is. There's a spoon. You can put it in and you can eat. So God does this with us. God is mother, definitely. So God gives immovable faith. Doesn't say like the little pipsqueaks that don't know anything. that will be there around them saying, "Oh, what do you do that for?" And that's very low. That's not the highest way, and so on. No. God and the Jnani, the true Jnani, never says this shame on you stuff. They say, go ahead, have faith, do it. You meet these phonies with wearing Garo in India. Oh, I never go to temples. So the fake Jnani say, what are you going to a temple for? What's a stone image? What are you going to get from it, etc. Ma Nandamai said, it's up to you. It is your duty to see the consciousness in the image in the temple. That's what Ma used to say to people. She knew. Okay. He who, endowed with faith, desires to propitiate that form, receives from it his desires because their fulfillment has been decreed by me. Even the gods act only according to the laws of Ishvara and Parameshvara, the supreme Ishvara. It's a hierarchy. And there's rules all along the way. The people who don't want rules, they are really stuck because this universe is nothing but a tissue of rules. Many of them absolutes. But temporary is the fruit for those of small understanding. To the gods go the worshippers of the gods. And that's better than being stuck down on this mud ball we call the earth. If you can at least get up into these devalokas and not have to come back here, you've accomplished a lot. Those who worship me come unto me. There is a possibility to go directly to the absolute. And it is, you see, when it says worship, uses a word, the root of which is yaj, which means to offer, to sacrifice. So it is those who offer to God their consciousness, their aspiration, their willpower, then they go to those gods, and those who do the same thing and have the same intense concentration, which we can call devotion, then they will go also to the absolute. And it's been decreed by God that that's the way it should be. But temporary is the fruit for those of small understanding. To the gods go the worshippers of the gods. Those who worship me come to me. Those who said put their attention on and kind of their mental flow goes to the feet of those gods, those whose flow through meditation, through sadhana. In the beginning, the Sapar and Purusha said, Soham asmi, I am Soham. So those who take up Soham sadhana and persevere in that sadhana and are throughout the day in time with their breath, intoning Soham and sitting and intoning it in time with the breath in meditation, they will go to the absolute Soham, the Soham Bhava, the realization, I am that, which is not just God's realization, but in our inmost depths, our realization, because we and God are one, you see. They talk about really good people, kind people. Oh, they're godlike. Well, they're godlike in the sense of the lesser gods. But with the absolute God, it is Soham Chaitanya, Soham consciousness. And that's the beginning, the middle, and the end of the whole thing. And it should therefore be the end of this. We have 2 seconds left before the time is up. So, namaste, namaste. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. And I'm looking forward to the next time.